Hey, it's Miss Mooch, and here I have the skin of Lynn. So let's take a closer look at the anatomical structures. So first of all, there are two layers to the skin. The topmost layer is labeled A right here, and that would be the epidermis. There's different layers of the epidermis that you're not responsible for knowing, but remember that these cells are actively made down here and they slowly die and get shed as they work their way to the top. This is avascular, which means that there's no blood vessels there. The deeper layer is called the dermis, which goes from here all the way down to where you see this yellow stuff. So that's called the dermis. It's a thicker layer and it has all the goodies going on in there. So a couple of those things that you need to know and be aware of are this thing. This is a sweat gland, also known as a sudoriferous gland. And what happens is that sweat is released through this tube through the pore, which is right there. Then we have the red and blue lines that you see. Those are blood vessels or veins and arteries and capillaries. And you can see that the dermis is vascularized. So remember I said, if you cut yourself, if you only damage the epidermis, you don't bleed. But as soon as you get down into the dermis, you bleed because that's where the blood vessels are. Also here we have the yellow lines. These are different various nerves. We also have obviously the hair, and this entire house that the hair's inside of is called the follicle. It's not really shown here very well, so let's go over to this one. So this is a hair follicle that holds the hair and the root, and then coming off of them are actually some oil glands. Oil glands are also known as sebaceous glands. And if I take off the follicle, you can kind of see the inside. This would be like the root of the hair down here by the matrix, the most active part, where cell division is happening, and then those cells are slowly dying and getting pushed up. And then what happens is that as the hair root is getting pushed up, it makes it out. And then the part that you see above the epidermis is the shaft, and then the root would be below. And there's different layers. This is a much more detailed model than what we are learning in class about the skin. Oil glands, or sebaceous glands, they produce sebum, and they're always associated with the hair follicle, so they're kind of attached, and they release their sebum into here, and that's why your hair is nice and soft and waterproof, and the oil comes up here on your epidermis and makes those waterproof and soft as well. And sometimes when you get scared or you're anxious or stressed or whatever, your hair can stand up, and that's goosebumps, and that's because of this smooth muscle right here called the Arrector pili, and it kind of tugs on the hair follicle and causes the hair to stand up and form goosebumps. And then down here below the skin we have a fatty layer called the hypodermis, which is not technically a layer of the skin. It's made of adipose fatty tissue, and it's good for cushioning and insulation. It helps anchor the skin to what's ever below the skin, whether it's different organs or bones or muscles. And those are the major parts of the skin.